Dozens of people were injured and thousands of people were denied their basic human rights, all for a MrBeast YouTube video.
Hundreds of former employees and contestants who have worked with MrBeast are now coming forward sharing the horrors they've seen from him. The point of mentally breaking a former employee until he could not pass a psych evaluation. Beyond that, there are also new SA allegations from within the company coming to light, and even an alleged handbook for the company with a section titled "No does not mean no." I'm here to discuss and recap everything that has come out so far. If you're new here again, MrBeast is literally the largest YouTuber on the planet, so if you don't know who he is, your children definitely do. Because past employees have shared videos of him clarifying that he's well aware that the majority of his audience is children. And a lot of his videos are run in the style of illegal lotteries, which means on top of the years of employees coming out one by one to discuss his toxic work environment and the racial comments he's made over the years, he's also knowingly selling gambling to children. And I have to agree with a lot of the employees coming forward. I also think he is power hungry, and there is no end to what he will do to get to the top. And his thirst for power has truly gotten out of hand because his videos started innocently enough, like around a decade ago, where he would just give $1,000 to a random homeless person, or, tip a waitress really big. But then they started having this weird game show style of setup, and things just got bigger and bigger. And a key point to all of his videos, besides the fake lottery videos he does to hook children, is that he seeks out people who are truly desperate for money because he knows he can make them do anything, so he'll make them do weird challenges on camera for money, Hunger Games style, for everyone's entertainment. One of the reasons he has a philanthropy channel now instead, which is being looked into, is, according to another employee who came forward on Dogpack 404's channel, is because he knows that charity makes him look good, so it helps him get away with all the other horrible things he's doing. So beyond just the illegal lotteries, former employees have come forward and have been able to prove that a lot of the videos are fake. They're either CGI or they're not actually doing the challenges. A lot of the contestants are former employees. Even his girlfriend's been seen in videos. And people he knows or has been tied to in the past often end up winning the challenges. He also doesn't follow the rules of lotteries. There's a lot of claims that when he does live streams where he's like, order in the next 5 minutes and you'll get this in your package, or you'll get this extra special thing, people have said, like, we never even got it. It has been very effective in growing his channel to the point where these two guys paired up, and Amazon gave Jimmy, aka MrBeast, his own Squid Game style game show to throw for 2,000 people. Because there were 2,000 contestants here, hundreds of them are now coming forward reporting the horrors of what's happening. Put the cherry on top of painting the correct and terrifying image of Jimmy Donaldson, aka MrBeast, Amazon starts by saying we were really blown away by his ambition to make the Beast Games the biggest reality competition series ever. A lot of people are saying, yeah, he was in way over his head. Of course, we expected signing up for a difficult show where there would be challenging tasks. What we didn't expect, though, was to hardly receive any food ever consistently. Someone said they once went 20 hours without being fed, and when they did get fed, it was like literally hardly anything. There wasn't good medical staff on the scene. People were getting injured and harmed. They had their medications taken from them right out of the door, and a lot of people weren't getting them back in time, so people were reporting seeing others having seizures. People were being wheeled out on gurneys. They weren't getting adequate water. Some of the larger male contestants figured out at a certain point they could just start harming the women without repercussions to get them out, which of course got scary very quickly. A lot of local hospitals have confirmed receiving patients from this. But painting the perfect, disturbing image of Jimmy's ego, a lot of contestants reported that the first sighting of this man is when he stepped out onto a shrine-like platform structure. Very Hunger Games style, lifted above the $5 million in cash, and they were all instructed to cheer. People keep telling me these aren't actual photos taken from the set and leaked, but I'm still not convinced personally. Like, if that image alone doesn't perfectly encapsulate, like, dystopian, egotistical, I don't know what does. And you might be like, well, production clearly got out of hand. Maybe this is an isolated incident. No, I've received a number of DMs from people in his past games that have shared similar stories to what's going on with MrBeast games here, just on a smaller scale. A lot of them sound very similar, but one specifically here I'll read off for you with someone who was in that 100 million subscriber video he did. And I'll leave it anonymous, but to be clear, NDAs are like really easily broken. They usually break like immediately when something illegal happens. They're mostly there to scare people into silence and aren't that effective. It was a very long message, but essentially it was a similar vibe. They said there was like about 100 of us all alone on this island for an hours, no bathrooms, crammed under these random tents. This drinking water was like sparse. There was hardly any food. The arrangements were all out of sorts. But the key takeaway from this person's message is they said that they went up to one of the producers at a certain point because it was just out of hand. And they said, listen, I'm so grateful to be here and to be invited, but you do have to take care of people. And I do think that someone could really get hurt here. And their response was, well, I think we're doing just fine. I mean, we haven't killed anyone yet. And that right there is the terrifying tell of the acceptable level of harm that they think they're allowed to put people through. But now another former MrBeast employee, Jake Weddle, is coming out with a number of accusations, saying he was originally cast to be in a 100 Days of Solitary Confinement video, which he provided plenty of proof that he did do that, and they sold it to him under the guise that it would be like maybe 30 days top, and it'd be super luxury, like he'd have all these really nice things, and it wouldn't be too hard, and he'd get $10,000 a day. And since he was desperate for money at the time, he signed up. But it quickly started getting out of hand. First of all, the hot tub that they promised him wasn't really hooked up to proper irrigation or whatever system, so it started to smell up the room quickly. And the ice cream machine they put in was super loud, or if he turned it off, again, started smelling up as well. There were a number of other things like this, which over time it starts to build up, right, when you're trapped in a small room. They also didn't let him see sunlight or have any clocks. The kicker of it all is that he claims that they didn't let him turn off the lights to go to sleep at night either. So he began to develop insomnia, which this kind of torture actually could be qualified as a direct breaking of the Geneva Convention as set up by the UN. They're not even allowed to treat war criminals this way. That aside, the whole premise of 100 days in solitary confinement is to break the person in the confinement. I would presume the goal is to see if they can make it to the end, which he didn't, and he later failed a psych evaluation. Because the final task that broke him was when they made him run a marathon without training, which is extremely dangerous and caused him a lot of physical damage going forward. To which for a long time afterwards, he continued to have severe issues. And you can see here he is talking with some other former employees that were checking in to see how he was doing as time went on. Which brings us to the SA-related allegations. Now, not a ton has come out about this yet because they're still working very closely with lawyers. And MrBeast is repeatedly trying to silence and sue any of us who are speaking up against him. But for starters, his employees said that allegedly his company has a handbook with a whole section titled "No Does Not Mean No," which is a really bad setup for company culture. In the video, they claim that it's known that there were some camera guys on set that made a lot of the women very uncomfortable. And other behaviors like this, like when they would have contestants on the show, some of the camera guys would kind of get a little bit power hungry. And there were always rumors of other things happening within the company. One thing he highlighted was this employee they referred to as Delaware instead of using his real name. And they said they called him Delaware because he's not actually allowed to return to the state of Delaware. So it's very clear that everyone on set probably knows about his past, which they're saying he's actually this man right here, which if you look up his public documents, he is on the registry for having relations with someone between the ages of 1 and 11. Which is so beyond an unacceptable age range. It's not even, I have no comments to make about that. But they alleged that because he was one of the actual favored employees on set, they were even always actively trying to expunge his record and help him. Which they're saying leads them to believe that Jimmy probably also knew about the discords and other situations that have been made public, which MrBeast, aka Jimmy, has denied having any knowledge on.